we need to talk about something really important today: the alarming rise of colon cancer, especially in younger adults. We're going to break down what's going on using insights from a Harvard Medical School expert, Dr. Andy Chan. We'll get into why this is happening and, most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself. Let's dive right in.
Right off the bat, let's just tear down the biggest myth out there. Dr. Chan says it perfectly. We all think colon cancer is an old person's disease. Something you worry about when you're 65 or 70. But that idea, it's completely and pretty dangerously out of date. The whole picture is changing, and it's changing fast.
Okay, so what does this new reality actually look like? Let's get into some of the stats because they are pretty startling and they really show just how much the landscape of this disease has shifted.
Take a look at this number, 20%. Right now, 1 in 5 new colon cancer diagnoses are in people under the age of 50. 1 in 5. An illness we all thought was basically unheard of for young people is, well, it's becoming way too common.
And listen, this isn't just a random blip on the radar. This is a really dramatic trend that's been building for decades. So let's unpack these numbers a bit to see exactly how we got here.
So this chart tells two totally different stories. On the one hand, for folks over 65, you see the rates are going down. That's a huge success story, mainly thanks to screening. But now look at the other bar, for people under 55. That arrow is shooting straight up. For younger generations, the trend is going in the complete opposite direction, and frankly, it's scary.
And to make this even more personal, think about this. If you were born in the 1990s, your risk of getting colon cancer is literally double that of someone born in the 1950s when they were your age. That is just a massive generational shift for the exact same disease.
And this timeline, it's a pretty sobering projection. I mean, look at today. Colon cancer is already the #1 cause of cancer death for men under 50. And the projection for 2030, it's set to become the top cancer killer for both young men and young women. This isn't some far-off problem. This is happening right now.
So, of course, this leads us to the biggest question of all. Why? What on earth is driving this terrifying trend? Well, researchers think the answer is hiding in the huge changes to how we've all been living over the last 50 years or so.
The prime suspects are probably what you'd guess: our modern diet and lifestyle. I mean, just think about the big shifts: rising obesity rates, eating way more red and processed meat, an explosion of ultra-processed foods, and different drinking habits. It's kind of like a perfect storm of risk factors.
But it goes deeper than just the food we're eating. It's about what that food is doing inside our bodies. All those lifestyle changes can lead to things like chronic inflammation and just overall poor metabolic health. But one of the key things researchers are really zeroing in on is the disruption of our gut microbiome. The trillions of tiny bacteria in our gut that are so important for our health.
And here's a wild example of just how crucial that gut microbiome is. Get this. Research has found a link between heavy antibiotic use when you're young and a higher risk of colon cancer later in life. It suggests that messing with our gut health early on can have consequences decades down the road.
Okay, after all those pretty concerning stats, I promise, it's time for the good news. We're going to shift from the problem to the solution. Because here's the thing, colon cancer is highly preventable. This next part is all about what you can do. It's about empowerment. Let's start with maybe the most hopeful number in this whole explainer, 95%. When colon cancer is caught in its early stages, the cure rate is over 95%. That's an incredible statistic, and it just hammers home why awareness and getting checked out early is everything.
So what's the single most effective thing you can do? It's screening. And because of this trend, the guidelines have actually changed. The recommended starting age for everyone is now 45. But, and this is important, if you have a family history, like a parent or sibling with colon cancer, you need to start even earlier, at age 40.
And getting screened is easier than ever. You've got options. There are these at-home stool tests that are non-invasive, super convenient, and really good at finding cancer. Then you have the colonoscopy. Yeah, it's more invasive, but it has this amazing advantage. It can find and remove precancerous growths, called polyps, right then and there. It can literally stop cancer before it even starts.
Now, beyond screening, you can lower your risk every single day with what you eat. The strongest evidence points to a few key things. Limit red meat, and definitely try to avoid processed meats. We're talking bacon, salami, that kind of stuff. Cutting back on alcohol is also huge. And here's a pro tip. Try not to char your meat when you grill, because that black stuff can actually create cancer-causing compounds.
And on the flip side, what should you be adding to your diet? Well, it all comes back to taking care of your gut.
That means eating more high-fiber foods, more whole grains. These are the foods that feed the good bacteria in your gut, which we now know plays such a critical role in protecting you.
And finally, don't forget to just get moving. Regular physical activity is proven to lower your risk of colon cancer. And what's really fascinating is that this protection works even if your weight doesn't change. The act of exercise itself is protective. So here's the bottom line. Yes, the threat of colon cancer for younger people is very real, and it's growing. But the power to prevent it through screening, through diet, through staying active, that is also very real, and it's largely in our hands. So the only real question left is, are you taking the steps to protect yourself?
Click the subscribe button to stay updated with VitalSpan Labs.